Okay, so this morning I received my brand new Leatherman OHT compared to the Leatherman Wingman. Alright, first of all, when I notice the color, the materials of this tool is, they say it's supposed to be stainless steel or whatever, and I don't know if you can see, the grade of the steel is pretty thick, but those side covers who's supposed to hold most of this thing together is pretty thin and flimsy, and they hold by rivets, which I'm not very impressed with. Also, the main part here holds the smallest part, like you're holding a screwdrivers, the can openers, the other screwdrivers, and which would be, yeah, screwdrivers. They hold by the tiny little screws there, like this. This is pretty small. It's probably 1/8. It's very small. Not impressed. And then the back, where you got the longer blades, you got four. You got a wire cutter of some sort. You got the saw blade. I mean, the saw blade is here and whatever. Also, now it's in lock position. I don't know if you can see clearly, but there's a little lever here so you can lock it in place, because if you don't, it's always loose, which is the whole point. See, well, I'm right-handed. Alright, so I want to close it back. Press these two levers, retract, flip it around, and then drop it, and then it's closed. But the thing is, like, this thing is always on. It's like, I don't need to push, it's always on. So like if I hold it like this, I have to clean my hand, and then pow, it opened. Alright, let's try this again. Press the release, close, and then clear. Alright, again. Let's try it. It's brand new, so it's here we go. The whole point of one hand. And also, you don't need to hold it like this to open, because it's spring loaded. As I say, it's brand new still, so I think the spring is pretty weak compared to this. Leatherman Wingman with a side clip. Can open it with one hand if I want to. No, it's very tight. See, this is a $40 tools. See the springs? The springs is actually inside. It's inside the head, so that spring is never gonna go, never gonna die. It's always gonna be like the same. While this thing, the spring is inside here, and there's some stiction because of this thing here. There's a lot of stiction. I was waiting for that tool since last year, since January, since it came out. I wanted that tool so badly, and now that it's in my hand, I am, let's say, I'm halfway disappointed. So if you close it and you want it to remain in one place, you have to lock it. There's a little lever here, rotating lever, that you can lock it in place. So much for a one-hand operation. Hold on. Yeah, it has to be all the way. So that little lever there, you have to be all the way so it doesn't come out. Alright. So my overall point of view on that thing, I've owned like every Leatherman tools out there, and this is like my weekender. that I use when I don't want to carry the big surge, because I got the surge as well when I work, because the surge is like so heavy and massive, it does everything I need to do. So on that thing here, for $100, it cost me shipping and handling plus custom taxes because I'm in Canada. The bulk of it is not that bad. It's the quality of the steel, the finish of the steel, and the quality of the product entirely. It's not that bad. Compared to the Surge, it's like, yeah, it's 2012. It reflects the future of the technology of what Leatherman is. But I think that the idea, there's a lot of room for improvement. This system they could have done the same thing as the Wingman. They could have integrated the spring inside the head, so it's much smoother. There's no stiction in this thing, and I like the fact that there's like a nice gap between my hands, so I cannot pinch myself compared to the Wave or the Charge. This thing here, the head is pretty nice. There's a small gap in the head, you can see, and the tip is very pointy. And also you can replace the wire cutters, which is good. So the integrated features, but I wonder what's going to be the sheer strength of that thing. Hold on. There's sort of a play, not in the head per se, but in the whole system when you wiggle it around. Not much of a play, but it's understandable for a sliding system, like Gerber used to do. But the overall presentation of the product is pretty nice. It's like, really makes it like, the wow factor is pretty interesting. The whole point is that thing that you slide and open, like a jackknife or something. As I'm going to use a tool more and more, the stiction is probably going to go away. But this rivet configuration doesn't really please me. And the thickness of that steel, the two cover plates, that too doesn't really impress me. If you drop the tool on the head, if it was to fall like this part would bend. So it's not the kind of tools you want to drop. Like, it's thin gauge steel. I don't know if you can clearly see through the lights, but it's very thin. And it's a nice product, but it's probably not the best product Leatherman ever came with. It's a good presentation, the ID's there, but quality wise, when you look at this thing, the gauge of the steel, the stainless steel, is pretty much the same as this one, but it's more of a robust construction, that if you drop it on the ground, it's probably not going to bend because there's a lot of curb in it. The edge of this thing's, the curbs really seems very small. So yeah, I think it's they're gonna have a lot of warranty return on that thing eventually. Also, if you drop that thing in sand, there's going to be a lot of crud everywhere in the mechanism and on the construction, like in this space, the springs, the mechanism, the lock, everything. There's going to be a lot of crud there that's going to make like stictions and again create frictions. Yeah, it's pretty nice overall, but I think the jaws could have worked. They could have put more work on the jaws and the mechanism to make it as less prone to wear and tear and maintenance. Because technically speaking, this thing, if you go camping with this and you drop it in the sand or in the water, you can blow hair with your mouth on this thing and it's going to clean up by itself. Also, if you look on the edge, If you look here on the edge where it holds, the thickness of the steel and the bushing on that thing, it's never going to wear out. So this is a good camping tools and working tools for the budget. While this thing is like, it's purpose built, purpose driven. But like even if you're soldering the dust might stick to the grease, the lubrication parts of this thing. It's a tool that's you're supposed to use that tool for maintaining your gun, but you also have to, you're gonna have to maintain your own tools. I own the MUT, and even the MUT is more soldier worthy than these things. I think this thing is more like a fancy gadget than a real working tool for the militaries. No. Sorry, Leatherman. I've waited a year, like 10 months for that things, and now that it's here, I'm sorry, but I'm disappointed.